maybe get into a little bit of that in the panel part of the programme. But let's speak to Maha Yahya. She is director of the Malcolm H. Kerr Carnegie Middle East Center, because I want to pick up with you just what we're starting to hear now in chancelleries and from governments across the West. There seems in recent days to have been a deliberate shift in focus towards longer ceasefires or to longer humanitarian pauses, anything short of a ceasefire. What do you think is driving that?
Frankly, the horrific situation in Gaza. I mean, we're talking about 70%, 1.7 million people have lost their homes out of 2.2 million. I don't need to go into the death rates. We're talking 11,000 people dead, half of whom are children. Just to put that into perspective, since the Russian offensive began on Ukraine, 500 children have been killed. That's almost over 2 years. In Gaza, we're almost at 5,000 children in 1 month. And these are the numbers that we know about. So what's really driving it is severe anger and anguish over what's happening to an unarmed population. This is a collective punishment towards a civilian population for the most part. Attacks against Palestinians, but also against the health sector.
Let me focus on the politics, because we've just heard from a doctor who has a very good understanding of what's happening at Al-Shifa Hospital. So I do want to try and keep it to the politics, because I want to understand what leverage the White House has over this. Clearly there are private conversations going on, but thus far it doesn't seem to have had any impact on Benjamin Netanyahu and the war cabinet. Why?
I think there are the White House has significant leverage. It hasn't had, I don't think that they've used their leverage yet. The United States provides significant support in military aid to Israel. They just approved a multi-billion-dollar additional support and arms transfer. There are other kinds of aids and support. It supports it at the UN Security Council. It supports it literally in the international arena and protects it. So I don't believe that the administration has yet used that leverage in order to get the Israeli government to either agree to humanitarian pauses, which I called last year, literally it's a lull between two massacres, or to actually get to a point where we can call for a ceasefire. I think we should be calling for a ceasefire right now.
But I guess Joe Biden, given that he has that leverage, he's looking first and foremost at political opinion and domestic opinion towards the war. And a majority of people are still in support of the war. In fact, we've got pictures today in Washington, tens of thousands of people attending this March for Israel, which has been organised by the Jewish Federations of North America. And there are congressional leaders that are going to be speaking at this rally today. A lot of people pointing to the anti-Semitism that's risen since the attack on October the 7th. So it's a very divided picture, isn't it, in Washington? And if, as you say, we're looking for American leadership on this point, you have to set this in the context of what is going on politically at home.
Well, I think the administration underestimated the impact of this on domestic policies. In fact, some of the shift in policy that we're seeing, yes, it's a very divided picture, but we've also seen massive pro-Palestinian rallies across many countries in the United States, many cities in the United States. Sorry, there's a...
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's just the effects
on
the video. Yeah, sorry, do go ahead.
Okay. So there have been demonstrations across major cities in the U.S. It's very clear that within the Democratic Party there is a real challenges. The administration is facing real challenges. The polls are indicating that President Biden's popularity has plummeted, particularly amongst Arab Americans, but also the younger generation whose support for Palestine has increased significantly, but also amongst progressives. And this is happening in some of the key states like Michigan, for example. The loss of these states could lead to the loss of the presidency for President Biden, but also for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's going to be one interesting to watch, particularly in states like Michigan, as you say, where there is a sizable Muslim minority. Maha, Yahya, thank you very much for coming on the programme. Grateful for your time. We're going to